Hey, welcome back to another installment of our Saturday morning digital shorts. I am so excited to be with you this morning, but wait, you probably don't really recognize me. My name is Anthony, and this week we are celebrating one of my absolute favorite holidays, Easter. And this year specifically, we're celebrating Easter a little differently. This Easter, we're going to be reminded that certain things in our life are always true no matter what. But before we get into that today, we're going to talk about something a little bit different. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I started playing soccer when I was 4 years old, and to this day, it's still my favorite hobby. And when I got to high school, I really wanted to be on the team. And in grade 10, I made the team and I played, and it was going so well. And then I tried out for the team in grade 11, and to my surprise, I didn't make it. And I later found out someone told the coach not to take me. So the following year in the 12th grade, I was motivated to prove myself, and I tried out and I played really well, and I made the senior team. And guess what? I eventually went on to become the starting striker for my school senior team, and it was so incredible. And there was this one rainy day, we went to this tournament, and we made it all the way to the finals. And we're in this game, and it's a tight game. The other team is pretty good. And I point to my teammate, hey, pass me the ball, put it there. And he lifts it over the other team's back line. And I run on, and I volley the ball into the net, and we ended up winning the game 1-0. And it was the most amazing feeling. I remember doing this airplane celebration, and it was so cool. And the crowd went crazy, just like this. And I just felt completely on top of the world. And even the next day at school, they announced it over the PA, and it was absolutely incredible. It was awesome. I felt just so incredible, like on top of a mountain. Have you ever been there? Like people around you knew that you were important. Like you were on top of the world, where you felt seen, you felt noticed, you felt valued by other people. Maybe your latest TikTok went viral, or you're the top scorer in your sport, like my favorite player, Ronaldo. Maybe you're the smartest kid in your class, or you just got voted class president. Or maybe you even recently earned your black belt in martial arts. If you've had an experience like that, then you know how good it feels to think that other people see you as important, for them to see you as someone who matters. But if we're honest, I think we'd all say there are certain places in our lives where we don't feel important. And that feeling, well, it's just not so awesome, right? Maybe you're not as good as a sport or at a video game as some other people around you. Maybe you're just not so good at math. Maybe it seems like everyone else in the class just picks up on things, but it's slow for you. Maybe you feel like you're an outsider, and you wonder if anybody even knows your name. It can be really lonely. Maybe nobody ever likes your comments or videos you post, or invites you to hang out when they go hang out. You know, things like that. Well, they make us feel anything except important, right? Enter list here, anything except important. I think the reality is that most of us probably feel unknown or unimportant at certain points in our lives. We wonder if we're ever really noticed or seen by other people, maybe at school, at home, or even at church. It seems like there's only a handful of people who get the same attention all the time, and if we're lucky, we'll get it here and there. And if you've ever felt that way, number one, I want to say to you, I am so glad that you are here. My hope is that as you watch this video, as we begin to interact with each other in the near future, that you are treated with dignity and respect. And here is one of those moments, right? No matter what, that you are treated this way. My hope, friends, is that we would see all those around us as important and worthy of love. And here's the second thing. I want to tell you a story about someone today who probably felt just like we do sometimes. Somebody who didn't think they were that important at all. And what's cool is that as we look at this story, we'll see Easter actually shows us one huge truth. We are important to the one who is most important. And I'm not going to just say this to you. No, I'm going to show you. I'm going to prove to you that this is true no matter what. Throughout this series, we're going to be talking about three people. Last week, our friend Chris talked about John. And today, we're going to talk about an incredible woman named Mary and what she had to do with the Easter story. Now, when you hear that name, Mary, from the Bible, you may think immediately about Mary, the mother of Jesus. Or maybe you've heard a story about a guy named Lazarus and his sisters Mary and Martha. You know, Mary, the one who is at Jesus' feet, but Martha, the busy one. Well, while both of these women are important in the Bible, they're not the Mary we're actually talking about today. This Mary may not be as well known as Jesus' mom, but what we're about to learn about her life is very powerful. This Mary was from a small fishing village called Magdala, so she was known as Mary Magdalene. Now here's the thing, it's actually a pretty big deal that we are even able to talk about Mary today. I know, right? That's kind of crazy, but society back then was super different. Women didn't have a lot of rights or freedom or opportunities like the men did in that culture. That's actually one of the reasons why men are talked about more in the Bible. You see, women have always had such a tremendous importance to God, but humanity failed at that for a very long time. We failed at seeing women the way God saw them. But you see, that's also part of what made Jesus so interesting. In a culture that gave women less rights, less leadership, and a lot less opportunity, Jesus went out of his way to value women and give them opportunity. In fact, we know that during his life and ministry, he was very close to Mary Magdalene. He knew her by name. He saw her as important. We know this because some of Jesus' closest followers, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, recorded it for us in the Bible, even to the point that Mary Magdalene supported Jesus' ministry. And because Jesus was so close to Mary Magdalene, she's included in the story we read every year at Easter. She's a part of the biggest event that shaped our Christian faith. So let's look together at what the Bible says. Mary was standing outside the tomb crying, and as she wept, she stooped and looked in. She saw two white-robed angels, one sitting at the head and the other at the foot of the place where the body of Jesus had been lying. "Dear woman, why are you crying?" the angels asked her. "Because they have taken away my Lord," she replied, "and I don't know where they have put him." So let's catch us up. Jesus had just been killed. He was crucified on a cross, which was a really horrible and public death that his friends like Mary Magdalene witnessed. Then he was buried in a tomb. And because Mary Magdalene, his friend, cared about him so much, she went to visit his grave. And here's what she found, that it was empty. The grave was empty. Imagine that. Imagine you know someone who died and you were there when they put them in the grave. And you come back a few days later and the body isn't there. Maybe someone moved their body. Maybe it was stolen. That's what Mary thought happened. And that's why she began to cry. But then we learn that Mary was visited by two angels who wanted to know why she was so sad. All right, let's just stop right there. Angels, I mean, come on, that is amazing, right? But wait, it gets even better. Something happened that totally took Mary by surprise. Something that changed things not just for Mary, but for all of us who believe in Jesus, even today. Take a look. She turned to leave and saw someone standing there. It was Jesus, but she didn't recognize him. "Dear woman, why are you crying?" Jesus asked her. "Who are you looking for?" She thought he was the gardener. "Sir," she said, "if you have taken him away, tell me where you have put him, and I will go and get him." "Mary," Jesus said. She turned to him and cried out, "Rabboni," which is Hebrew for teacher. So there Mary was, weeping over the death of her friend and teacher, when just like that, another person appeared. Now, of course, she thought Jesus was dead. She didn't recognize him at first. She didn't know it was him. And after all, she saw him die, right? I mean, it makes perfect sense. But then Jesus used Mary's name. And that's what's amazing here, is that Jesus wanted her to know that it was him, that he knew her, that he saw her. And when he spoke her name, Mary, she recognized him immediately. And of course, she's in shock, right? I mean, we would all be. See, Jesus had just risen from the dead. And that's what we celebrate at Easter. It's what makes it so special. It's a big R word, the resurrection. Now remember from last week, to resurrect something means to bring it back to life. So at Easter, we remember when Jesus died on a cross and was buried in a tomb. And then we celebrate the fact that he walked out of the tomb 3 days later. In other words, he came back to life, which is what we call the resurrection. See, Jesus' resurrection is so important. Because of it, we can trust that God is who he says he is, no matter what. Jesus spent years in his ministry telling his followers, this is going to happen. This very thing is going to happen. That his death and resurrection were coming. And that these events would change everything. And then it actually happened. It was all true. Jesus told us that he would die and then rise to life again. And it actually happens exactly as he said. And because of that, we can believe that all things Jesus promised us are true. We can walk confidently knowing that we can be close to God because Jesus made it possible for us to be in eternity with him through his resurrection. That's what makes Easter so important. And one of the reasons we know it's important is because Mary was there to see him. She witnessed it with her own eyes, and she followed through on a very important task Jesus gave her. Take a look. Don't cling to me, Jesus said, for I haven't yet ascended to the Father. But go, find my brothers and tell them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God. Mary Magdalene found the disciples and told them, I have seen the Lord. Then she gave them his message. How amazing is that? Mary was the first person to witness the resurrection. She was the person Jesus asked to share the news with his closest followers. And I love how this passage ends. She gave them his message. I mean, talk about an important job, right? And because Mary believed in him, she knew what the resurrection meant. It had a big deal. She said yes to sharing that message, that big deal, with the rest of Jesus' followers. She is one of the reasons we have record of that moment to this day. And that makes her a very important piece of the most important event in our faith. That big R word, resurrection. Jesus' resurrection. Maybe you felt unimportant, like we talked about. Maybe you feel like nobody else sees or notices you, that people just don't understand you, that God could never choose to love you. Well, let me just assure you that what we celebrate every year at Easter proves that you are not only important, but you are important to God no matter what. He sent his one and only Son, Jesus, to die for you, to come back to life so that you can be close to him forever. And he did it because he loves you. He did it because your life is important to him no matter what. You see, God chose somebody like Mary Magdalene to help spread the word about the resurrection. He chose her to be an important part of the story, just like he chooses you. And what's cool is that the same is true for us. God didn't just send Jesus to die for those people back then. No, he sent him for us too. No matter how other people see us and no matter how we feel, the resurrection proves that we are seen, we are chosen, we are loved, we have value. And each Easter reminds us that we're important no matter what. The question is, how can we believe that? How can this no matter what kind of change us? And here's the first point, the first one. I think we need to think about how we see ourselves. Do you believe that you're important to God, to those around you, even to yourself? Do you talk down to yourself? Do you allow negative thoughts or words about who you are or how others see you to take up space in your mind? I know I do. Do you let other people treat you poorly, hurt you, talk down to you? Do you think you deserve to be treated badly because you're not important? Do you think God even cares about you at all? I know I struggle with that sometimes. But I think you and I need to get honest with ourselves this Easter. Let's think about how we feel about ourselves. Let's ask God to remind us this Easter that his love is for us. His love is for you. To him, you are seen, known, valued, important. So much so that his son Jesus died and rose again just so he could be with you. And that makes you so important. And here's the second point. Think about how you treat other people. One of the most important things we can do this Easter is show Jesus' love to other people. And we can start by treating others with the same value that Jesus treats us with. we can show people that no matter who they are, that they're important to us. And we can do that by listening to them, inviting them to be a part of our group, standing up for them when they're mistreated, learning about people of different races, ethnicities, or religions, or even simply saying hello in the hallway, right? It sounds so small. But doing those things not only shows them that we care, but it gives them a glimpse of God's love working through us. It shows them that they're important. And remember this, Easter reminds us we're important no matter what. And one of the best places we can start by practicing this is at home. There you have a parent or parents who value you. Parents who believe you are so very important, and they want to help you not only begin to believe this about yourself, but to show it to you so that you can treat other people that same way. So as we wrap up today, start thinking about how you want to answer this question and put your answer in the comments. What makes the resurrection important to you? Have a great Easter, everybody.